My message today is doing a bit of double, triple duty. As we've told you over and over this morning, it's Stewardship Sunday. This is the day where we attempt to both sort of kick off and wrap up our fundraising for the coming church year. It's always a little bit uncomfortable, this asking for money business, though as the years go on, I'm getting more comfortable with it. And that brings us to the original title of this message, which was It Takes a Village. It Takes a Village is derived from an African proverb, and it refers to a belief that it takes an entire community to effectively raise a child. Beyond raising children to become good adults, I believe that the phrase can also refer to what is required to know and become the best version of oneself. Unitarian Universalists straddle the line between what might seem to be two divergent ideas. And the first is a respect and a protection for the individual search for truth and meaning, which is a noble cause. And if you're doing it right, it's a lifelong pursuit. We also hold up this idea that we exist within an interdependent web of existence in which the actions of one impacts the whole. Unitarian Universalism is the spiritual home for both the independent seeker and the one who longs for community. Today's message is also the message that will serve as the Value of Generosity sermon in my UU Value Sermon series. Thank you to the excellent organizational skills of our fearless admin, Kat, who reminded me that it might be wise to wrap up this series before I go on sabbatical in May, so that it's not hanging around my neck when I come back, and so I finish it before General Assembly happens. Because as you already know, at General Assembly this year, we will be voting on our updated Article 2, which contains the covenant shared by all UU congregations. And in this updated Article 2, generosity is proclaimed as a core value of Unitarian Universalism. The update reads, "We cultivate a spirit of gratitude and hope. We covenant to freely and compassionately share our faith, presence, and resources. Our generosity connects us to one another in relationships of interdependence and mutuality." In preparation for today's message, I read The Generosity Path, Finding the Richness in Giving by Mark V. Ewart. His text explores how we as individuals can traverse a path of generosity, especially in a culture that encourages us to protect and hoard our resources. If you are just dipping your toe into what it might mean to support the CVUU with your money, your time, your talents, and your muscle, his text is an excellent primer. Ewart is a Unitarian Universalist who developed his ethic of generosity on the platform of our religion's principle of interdependence. He also draws on the Buddhist understanding of interdependence, noting that Buddhism and Unitarian Universalism, though different in their expressions, are the only two religions that consider interdependence to be a central value. Buddhism, Ewart writes, teaches the concept of a dependent origination, that nothing exists in isolation, independent of other life, and that all life is interrelated. Buddhism asserts that all beings are impacted by what happens to all other beings throughout the world. This means that ripples of events like tsunamis and acts of violence and war, and positive things like positive social policy, even if barely perceptible to the individual, impact all humankind. Therefore, Buddhism asserts that when we do good on behalf of others, we can expect Karmically and literally, one way or another, the impact of that good will be good coming back to us. The concept of generosity includes both giving and receiving. Giving and receiving exist in a relationship of reciprocity. We can't deny the joy that comes from giving. And in the same way, receiving pulls our spirit to reciprocate, desiring to experience the joy of giving, just as we have experienced the comfort and assurance of receiving. Within our covenantal community, our acts of generosity, be they grounded in money, time, talent, or muscle, pull us into a deeper engagement with the community of which we are a part. Without a spirit of generosity as a cultural framework, we miss out on a depth of relationship that is only possible when we behave as generously as we are able. As I've already mentioned this morning, generosity can be expressed in many different ways, and those ways include care, gifts of our time, gifts of our particular skills or intelligences, gifts, and of course, money. Ewart writes, financial generosity is one of the most challenging expressions and perhaps holds the most opportunity to make a difference in the world and in our own well-being. I preached some time ago about what it is like to live in a spirit of abundance and to resist the scarcity mindset our culture pushes on us. Most, if not all, of our cultural messaging encourages us to hoard our resources and to spend them only for the purpose of making ourselves more comfortable and secure. We are encouraged to spend money and to buy products to quell our anxieties and to find comfort in the acquisition and accumulation of stuff, rather than settling our spirits by seeking out deeper, more meaningful relationships within a shared community space. We must resist this cultural messaging and instead seek the wisdom that is already in our hearts. We know in our bones that we need one another not only to survive, but to truly thrive. If this place, if the CVUU is to be our spiritual home, our central community, then we must be compelled to care for it in whatever capacity we are able. I've often preached about my concern that a culture of individualism has rendered us too separate from each other to recall our collective power. But I think also that a culture tipped too far into individualism prevents us from coming to know our own selves as deeply as we could if we lived in a more collectivist society. We get to know ourselves through the process and act of developing relationships with others. Humans need other humans to be human, to know how to be human. Human connection not only dispels loneliness, which is an epidemic in our world today, but it also deepens our purpose and meaning and our understanding of the why of our existence. When we open up to deep relational encounters, our awareness of the self and of others deepens too. Our generosity ensures this congregation remains long after we have gone. Yes, we build this place for the sake of our own lives, but even more so for the lives of those who we will never meet. Someday, someone will need this place as badly as you need it now. Our generosity ensures that the CVUU is still here in the future. In our giving, we honor those who came before us and built this place, while preparing for those who will sustain it in a future we will never see, but must have faith in. It is within this community that I have found the place where my spirit longs to do its seeking. It is these folks, this membership body, that offers me a glimpse of the interconnected web of life of which we all are a part. Our generosity, our commitment to sustain this community can be a conduit through which we learn important life lessons and practice living out our values and beliefs in action. It is at this place where we can set ourselves upon a path of more generous living. This is the place where the salt of life, the stuff that keeps us all from sinking, is to be found. We are the salt, just as we are the place, just as we are as much ourselves as we are a part of one another. I implore you, please give generously today so that we can set upon a brighter, more joy-filled future. Amen and blessed be.